What up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Matt Wyatt. So I just got done finishing the seventh episode of Daredevil Born Again. I was really hyped for the next episode to see the continuation of the one of the antagonist villain called the Muse, the one who was able to put out a bunch of paintings showing the symbolism of what's going on in the city, especially Wilson Fisk and Daredevil. And in the vigilante and anti-vigilante task force, we got their first round with Daredevil and the Muse in the cave. And he's like, I brought this up before, that the way he makes his artwork, he makes his artwork by extracting their victims' blood, using the paint for their victims' blood. And I thought that was very crazy and very creative. But he's such a sadistic psychopath. And in this episode, we get a little bit more insight into the Muse. Now, look. I was really looking forward to the next episode, and it was great to see Matt Murdock getting back into that costume again, getting back to being Daredevil, even though that he was already Daredevil in that fifth episode of the bank robbery episode, which I know I said it was like a filler. It sort of is, but it really isn't. It's just really just more of the following the main arc from Matt Murdock's story to getting away from being a Daredevil to now finally coming back to his fold again. And that's what it did at the end of the fifth episode, and now carrying it on in the sixth episode. So I will say that I was kind of underwhelmed by this episode. I'm not going to say it's terrible. It's not one of the worst episodes I've seen. We do get a little bit more insight into the Muse, and we got his a little bit mask off, because the last time we saw his mask off, I believe, is around the end of episode two. I mean, around episode one or two, when we see his mask off. And I remember that actor, that he was in the television show called Wednesday on Netflix. But we get into a little bit more of the therapy section between him and Heather, the one that he is really obsessed with, because she was the one that can unlock his true potential and really understands of who he truly is. And you know what he reminds me? He reminds me of Paul Dano's the Riddler from the Batman movie. I feel like that the writers really took notes and watched the Batman movie from the Matt Reeves version, the one with Robert Pattinson, and he kind of felt very similar to Paul Dano's Riddler. And we get a little bit more of his background check of that he always wanted to be an artist, but he came from a very shady background, and he competed in the Taekwondo, and he also killed his coach, which it was completely crazy. The therapy section was very creepy, and it had more tension. And I will say that I was disappointed of how they resolved that storyline so quickly. I felt like this whole episode kind of felt like they had to wrap up the story, give us a little bit of a background of who the Muse is, and his name is Bastion. That's his real name. But he always prefers him as the Muse, because that's his true face, and that Bastion is the mask and not the other way around, which I like that idea. But I feel like that we should have built up to that storyline with Bastion's character, with the Muse, and I wanted a little bit more character depth to him. But I feel like they kind of rushed out, showing you a little bit of a small little background exposition of his story, and kind of felt like it was anticlimactic by the time we get to the end. But I will say that the moment that Daredevil, Matt Murdock, came to the rescue and tried to rescue his girlfriend Heather, that was awesome. The fight scenes of the second round between him and Muse was absolutely epic to watch. It added a lot more, a little bit bloody, a little bit more graphic this time around. But this episode felt like we're watching more of a television, where this character is more like the villain of the week, because he gets killed off by Heather by taking the Muse's gun and pulling the trigger, and her wrist was slit because he was about to fully complete his work and his art, because she is the key to unlocking his true potential and finally showing the world, everybody in the city, who he truly is. Because he's just a psychopath who is screaming for attention. That's basically what his arc is, and I kind of wish they give us a little bit more. I felt like it was totally rushed. And Wilson Fisk finding out that Daredevil is now back, and now he's a little bit shaking. He knows that he cannot take him down, but he knows that if he tries to take Daredevil down, Matt Murdock, then it's going to ruin his reputation. So now he's making up a fake story of taking down the Muse, making up some BS story so that he can take the credit, and including the anti-vigilante task force, because he doesn't want anyone to know in the city that Daredevil's back. Because if you watch some of the previous episodes, we see that a lot of the citizens are not trusting Fisk. They're not trusting the politicians or the system, because they are failing, and now they're no longer safe, that there's a serial killer going around in the city killing people at random, and they don't have anyone to step up and try to save people. And he wants everyone to know that we are here and we're here to protect you. And the anti-vigilante task force are the ones who will be protecting you and not Daredevil and not any one of those mask costumed heroes. And that's why he's trying to like construct his own narrative. And that's so ballsy for Wilson Fisk to do something like that. I mean, at first I thought he was going to do the opposite, where he's actually going to try to go after Matt Murdock and try to expose him. But we all know that he's not going to expose his identity because there will be major consequences. But they both made it clear each other in the diner in the first episode. One of them steps out of line, there will be major consequences. They were both clear on that, and I'm curious of how that this is all going to play out in the last two episodes. I'm still going to predict that that the Punisher is definitely going to show up in the finale and have the big team up with between him and Daredevil and taking down the anti-vigilante task force is causing a lot of problems and try to make up false lies and stories and all. And I'm excited for that. But my biggest issue with this whole season, I feel like that there's some storylines from some of the side characters kind of felt a little bit jarring and very boring at times. That's my biggest negative so far on the show. But the main story that really kept the show going was Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk. Like I brought this up before, the main core of the storyline is about them throughout the beginning. They're all about trying to hide who they are and try to move on from from their original dual identity of their own darker half. But now it's starting to come back, and Wilson Fisk is actually coming back. Especially when we get into the Luca, which is one of Vanessa's goons who is trying to take out Wilson Fisk because he's no longer fear him anymore, and it's not what he used to, and he doesn't agree that he should be a politician or the mayor of the city. And Vanessa is all about, hey, keep your mouth shut and be smart. And Luca is not having it. And he's clearly offering her to help take down Fisk so that they could take the control of the city again in this whole little gang war that they're in the middle of. We see Vanessa texting Luca saying that Wilson Fisk is alone. And I have a feeling that Vanessa was never going to betray Wilson Fisk. So she clearly tipped Wilson Fisk off and have Wilson Fisk's gun trigger man, which is Buck, the one who's his right hand man, assassinated Luca, which I thought that was a great scene. Him chowing down Italian food was a great scene. It just shows you that he is fully back as the Kingpin. He may be disguised himself as a mayor by day, but by night he is their Kingpin. So yeah, overall, this is a really solid episode. I just don't think it's the best. I think it was a little bit of a major step down because of the Muse storyline was completely rushed so quickly, didn't give us a little bit more time to develop his character or build up. And look, I said this before in the previous videos that I'm not very sold on Heather, the therapist, the Matt Murdock's girlfriend was so underwhelming. The love story between the two of them, I was not digging the vibe. I felt like she was a one-note character to me that just drives the character forward with Matt Murdock. I don't know. I kind of wish they would have give her a little bit more character depth because I felt like she was just kind of there to me. I mean, not to like attack the actress. She's doing a great job. Oh, I have a feeling that Heather is going to put two and two together that Matt Murdock is Daredevil because in the beginning of the episode, she started to see bruises on his back the moment he was taking a shower, and then by the time we get to the end, when she was hospitalized, she was able to spot that Daredevil shout out to her name when she was asking Matt like, "How did the vigilante knew my name? Like, how's that even possible?" So I have a feeling that later when we get into the last two episodes, she's going to put two and two together that Matt Murdock is Daredevil. I have a feeling that's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. But I feel like that the show has a little bit of a messy vision and direction where they wanted to go. But you got to remember, there are still a lot of the episodes that they still took from the original idea when they originally shot the Daredevil Born Again. And there are some episodes where they had to redo the whole thing and rearrange the whole storyline and kind of mix together. And you could tell by watching these episodes. But then again, I still enjoy the episode. It's not terrible, but I thought it was kind of the weakest episode out of all of them, in my opinion. One thing I want to mention that Wilson Fisk's assistant, with Daniel Blake, which I'm kind of not really caring about his character. He was kind of just a scum who was the biggest kiss ass supporter of Wilson Fisk, which I kind of felt underwhelmed by his character development. And he's now becoming a big hotshot man and tries to threaten his closest friend, who is a blogger, who kind of screwed him over by exposing what Wilson Fisk's port plan was going to be. And now he's going to threaten her to join him and Wilson Fisk to create fake stories whenever they want to, it making her an offer that she couldn't refuse. Yeah. So, what did you think of the seventh episode of Daredevil Born Again? Did you liked it more than I did, or were you someone out there that thought you were underwhelmed? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and leave me your thoughts. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell notifications so you know when my videos come up. And if you want to follow my social media links, the link tree will be down in the description down below. Now, look, I don't hate the show. I'm really enjoying the show. I really hope that when we get into the last two episodes, it will be a big payoff. And I'm excited that they're doing season two because they're already in production. And we got a little bit of some of the set photos. Hit the Daredevil's new outfit, which was pretty dope, and I can't wait to see it in action. I hope that season two really makes a vast improvement and has a clear vision where they want to go. So, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a great day, great evening, wherever you're from, and stay tuned for more of my content.